this is Nick Iverson, Enrolled Agent with Elevation Tax. Today, I want to talk about the 5 filing statuses for a federal income tax return. It is important that you use the correct filing status when filing your income tax return. You must determine your filing status before you can even determine whether you must file a return at all. Your filing status also impacts the tax benefits you receive, the amount of your standard deduction, and the amount of taxes you pay. There are 5 filing statuses: single, married filing jointly, married filing separately, head of household, and qualifying widow with dependent child. Multiple factors must be considered to determine your filing status. If you find that more than one status applies to you, choose the one that will give you the lowest tax. If you are unsure on which option will be best for you, feel free to reach out to us. Let's review each filing status. Single. Your filing status is single if you are unmarried and do not qualify for another filing status. This includes unmarried persons. You are considered unmarried for the whole year if, on the last day of the tax year, you are either unmarried or legally separated from your spouse under a divorce or separate maintenance decree as governed by state law in your state. Divorced persons. If you are divorced under a final decree by the last day of the year, you are considered unmarried for the whole year. However, you may be able to use another filing status that will give you a lower tax. A widow. Your filing status may be single if you were widowed before January 1st of the tax year and did not remarry before December 31st of the tax year. However, you may be able to use another filing status that will give you a lower tax. Married filing jointly. You can choose married filing jointly as your filing status if you are considered married and both you and your spouse agree to file a joint return. On a joint return, both spouses report their combined income and deduct their combined allowable expenses. Generally speaking, if you qualify to file as married filing jointly, you should, as this status will provide you with the lowest tax. Married persons. You are considered married for the whole year if, on the last day of the tax year, you and your spouse meet any one of the following tests. 1. You are married and living together. 2. You are living together in a common law marriage recognized in the state where you now live or in the state where the common law marriage began. 3. You are married and living apart but not legally separated under a decree of divorce or separate maintenance. 4. You are separated under an interlocutory decree of divorce. Same-sex marriage. For federal tax purposes, the marriage of a same-sex couple is treated the same as the marriage of a man to a woman. Individuals who have entered into a registered domestic partnership, civil union, or other similar relationship that isn't a marriage under state law aren't married for federal tax purposes. Spouse died during the year. If your spouse died during the year, you are considered married for the whole year for filing status purposes. However, if you remarried before the end of the year your spouse died, you can file a joint return with your new spouse, and your deceased spouse's filing status must be married filing separately for that year. Divorced. If you are divorced under a final decree by the last day of the year, you are considered unmarried for the whole year and cannot choose married filing jointly as your filing status. Married filing separately. You can choose the married filing separately status if you are married. One reason to choose this status is if you want to be responsible for only your own tax, or if it results in less tax than filing a joint return. If you and your spouse don't agree to file a joint return, you must use this filing status unless you qualify for the head of household status. If you choose married filing separately as your filing status, there are many special rules that apply. Because of these special rules, you usually pay more in tax on a separate return than if you use another filing status. While I do not have time to cover in this video all of the special rules, you can expect that your tax rate will be higher, many deductions and credits will be disallowed altogether, and many credits and deductions will be reduced. If you have questions on the tax implications of filing as married filing separately, please feel free to contact us. Head of household. To qualify to file as head of household, you must meet all of the following requirements. 1. You are unmarried or considered unmarried on the last day of the year. 2. You paid more than half the cost of keeping up a home for the year. And 3. A qualifying person lived with you in the home for more than half of the year. IRS publication 501 includes a table to assist you in determining who is a qualifying person. You may also find our video on dependents helpful. Qualifying widow with dependent child. If your spouse died in the tax year, you can use married filing jointly as your filing status for that year. The year of death is the last year for which you can file jointly with a deceased spouse. You may be able to use qualifying widow with dependent child as your filing status for 2 years following the year your spouse died. This filing status entitles you to use joint return rates and the highest standard deduction amount. You are eligible if you meet all of the following tests. 1. You were entitled to file a joint return with your spouse the year your spouse died. 2. You have not remarried before the end of the second year, starting after the year your spouse died. 3. You have a child or stepchild for whom you can claim an exemption. This does not include a foster child. 4. The child lived in your home all year. And 5. You paid more than half the cost of keeping up a home for the year. You may find these 7 quick facts provided by the IRS helpful in choosing the best filing status. 1. Marital status. Your marital status on the last day of the year is your marital status for the entire year. 2. If you have a choice. If more than one filing status fits you, choose the one that allows you to pay the lowest taxes. 3. Single filing status. Single filing status generally applies if you are not married, divorced, or legally separated according to state law. 4. Married filing jointly. A married couple may file a return together using the married filing jointly status. If your spouse died during the tax year, you usually may still file a joint return for that year. 5. Married filing separately. If a married couple decides to file their returns separately, each person's filing status would generally be married filing separately. 6. Head of household. The head of household status generally applies if you are not married and have paid more than half the cost of maintaining a home for yourself and a qualified person. 7. Qualifying widow with dependent child. This status may apply if your spouse died during the last 2 years, you have a dependent child, and you meet certain other conditions. For additional tips and tax-saving strategies, click here to schedule a free, no-obligation consultation. Also, be sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter and subscribe to our YouTube channel for weekly updates. If you have a question you'd like us to answer, please leave it in the comments below.